Hey guys, welcome to this video and welcome to this channel. I am so glad that you clicked on it, and today I am going to be giving you book recommendations based off of Taylor Swift songs. So I know a lot of people have done this in the past, but with the Midnights album having come out and later 2022, and then of course the Eras tour, I felt like this was a good way to bring all the albums together and give some great book recommendations. And I pulled out my Taylor Swift book sweatshirt, probably can't see it, just for this video. Alright, so first I'm going to start with the Midnights album, and I have 3 different books for 3 different songs. And first we will be starting with Midnight Rain. So I absolutely love Midnight Rain. It's one of my favorite songs, and for that I actually am recommending the only book I don't have a physical copy of, and that is because it's really popular right now, and that is Fourth Wing. I do believe when people say it's a mix of Divergent, Eragon, and then possibly Hunger Games, that is what it's similar to. I would say it's very reminiscent of Divergent, but it's a bit more high fantasy and obviously has to do with dragons. So the reason that I am recommending this book for Midnight Rain is because it deals with a lot of transition. I don't want to give any spoilers when I'm recommending these books, so I might be a little bit vague in what I'm talking about, but it's like the overall vibe reminds me of the song and also elements in it, but I'm not trying to give spoilers. I apologize, my air conditioning just turned on, but it will turn off in a second. So the reason that I want to recommend Fourth Wing is because it's a really big transition book, but also there's a semi-love triangle in this book. You can just see one part of that love triangle trying to hang on to who the main protagonist used to be, and then another one that's helping her flourish of where she's at. And I think that is just reminiscent of Midnight Rain and what's happening there, especially the lyrics. You wanted a bride, I was making my own name. And then it goes on to say, you stayed the same, all of me changed like midnight. I just think Fourth Wing perfectly encapsulates that song and what's happening. Like I said, I'm sorry, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but if you read the book, you'll probably know in the first 100 pages exactly what I'm talking about. The next song I have to recommend a book for is Glitch. And for that, I have Marie Lu's Warcross. So I didn't just pick this because, of course, if you know anything about this book, there is an actual glitch that happens, but I think that it follows the same line of something occurred, something randomly, and it brought 2 people together, and it's just all summed up really well in this book. So this follows a teenage girl named Amika Chen, and she is a bounty hunter for people who place, I guess, illegal bets on this Warcross game, which is essentially just a really big video game that is super high stakes in this world. And so one day she accidentally hacks herself into the game, and this creates a really big uproar and brings the attention of the actual game creator. And so he asks for her to come to Tokyo and to, I guess, discuss things, and that's where the novel completely takes off. But it starts with a glitch, and of course there is the love interest, and it just all seems completely random. It's such a unique read. If you like video games, I think you're gonna like it. I know nothing about video games though, and I still enjoyed it. It grew on me just like the song Glitch. It wasn't my favorite at first, but the more I listened to it, the more I appreciated it. So this is definitely reminiscent of Glitch. And the last song from the Midnights album I'll be talking about is Sweet Nothing, and for that I have to recommend 10 Rules for Faking It, and this is by Sophie Sullivan. Even though Sweet Nothing is just a really sweet, for lack of better words, song, there is definitely conflict in this book, like almost every book, because you have to have a plot and driving action that's happening. But what I really love about this, and I think is like the song, is that the love interest, it just seems like a really healthy relationship, very mature. And it's not like a fantasy novel where you need to get this certain power or there's some kind of exchange necessary, or even the trope of like fake dating. There's some kind of objective that needs to happen. That's not like that in this story. And like I said, there is problems, but it's really just a sweet story, and the love that they end up finding for each other, it's not for any other purpose or gain other than themselves. Next book I have to recommend is for the song Invisible String. For that, I am recommending Jane Eyre. I'm not sure if Taylor Swift actually got the Invisible String reference from Jane Eyre. I know she has a lot of literary references, so it could possibly be that. Sorry, this book is just incredibly heavy. There's a big moment within the story of Jane saying the same thing about a specific character, of having like a string attached to someone's ribs, almost like pulling them towards each other. So that invisible string element of kind of having this destiny of being together, and you go through all of this hardship, but at the end of the day, you can see that you were tied to this one person the whole entire time, so it made it worth it. I definitely recommend, if you like that song, then I think you will like Jane Eyre. So next up, I have Ready for It. And for this, I had to pick the Legendary series, but I meant to say the Caraval series, not Legendary. But the book I have to recommend is Legendary and then Final. And the reason that I'm doing that is because the Caraval series follows two different sisters. And so the first book revolves around the first sister, and then the second one, the second sister, and the third is wrapping them together. And I absolutely loved the second sister, Donatella. I liked her a bit more than Scarlet. A better connection is there for games than Caraval. Again, I don't want to spoil, and this is a second and a third book in a series, so there's only so much I can say about the relationship other than it's absolutely goals, and I think that you like Ready for It, and you're ready for those games to begin. More of like a cutthroat relationship, and a lot of push and a lot of pull and mystery, but two really strong characters. I think that you're really going to like Legendary. The next song I have is Daylight. This is one of my favorite songs, and I wasn't sure quite how to approach this one. I wasn't sure if I should go towards the beginning of the lyrics when it's talking about I wounded the good and I just did the wicked. During the air, I breathed in the smoke. I was getting more fantasy vibes from that. So I say this recommendation to say it might not be like the most bright, airy, beautifully light feeling, but I think when it comes to uncovering a past and all the hardship that you went through to find this beautiful relationship, that is what this recommendation is for. And that is To Kill a Kingdom, and that's by Alexandria Christo. Now, this book is a really, really savage book. So again, it might not seem like it's a Daylight correlation, but I think the first beginning lyrics of the song that I'm gonna put here, this is what it really reminds me of. It's like, you've gone through so much. You've built such an exterior, such a shell. You've done a lot of really bad things, but you're still able to find that beautiful love. And that's what reminds me of this. This follows a siren named Lyra, and she's known for going and carving out the hearts of princes, and she has 17 total. The Sea Queen punishes her for an action that's taken, and she turns into a human. So she takes away her song, and in order to get it all back, she has to kill an additional prince and take his heart. So this is a prince to one of the most powerful kingdoms in the world, and he likes to hunt sirens. So he ends up finding a girl who looks like she's drowning in the sea. It ends up being Lyra, and he saves her. We have two conflicting paths where she knows that she has to kill him, but he's trying to take out basically all of the siren community. I think that this is a great book because both of these people have had to go through so much that have hardened them, their exterior, have turned them into real savages, and yet they still find beauty in the middle of it. Next, I have You Belong With Me, and for that, I have to recommend The Cheat Sheet, and this is by Sarah Adams. So I'm not going to go into too much depth about this book because I'm sure you already know, but it's a longtime friends to lovers relationship. It takes place around a guy named Nathan who is in the NFL, and also Bree, who is a former athlete, and she is a dance teacher. Basically, it follows their relationship, and the way that it deviates from You Belong With Me is that neither of these people are actively dating somebody, and it's just pining for this relationship, but it is like an extended friends to lovers, slow burn that way, and it's just one of my favorite books ever. I love this book, and they're just so funny, they're so witty, and it's just a really cute read where there's still great chemistry, but I think that You Belong With Me definitely reminds me of this. Next, we have the song Enchanted, one of my favorite songs of all time, and we are looking forward to that Speak Now album coming out, Taylor's version. For that, I have to recommend Twilight. I think that's one of the most enchanted to meet you vibes ever. It's like an insta-love type of situation, but I just feel like Twilight has to get the shout out for Enchanted to Meet You. I mean, Bella is completely enchanted and enthralled to meet Edward, though you can't necessarily say the exact same thing for him. But if that is not your cup of tea, I also am recommending a fantasy novel. I think that this is a bit more difficult to recommend a fantasy. I think a contemporary is easier to fit into this song, but We Hunt the Flame, this is one of my favorite books. I love this. This is a duology. I think gets the "I was enchanted to meet you" vibes, not necessarily the part where it's imagining a whole relationship together and, like, hoping you're not seeing anybody. Again, I think that fits into a contemporary probably a bit better, but enchanted to meet you as in just being intrigued, like somebody asking these questions, these curious questions, making you wake up in the middle of the night or not being able to fall asleep, thinking about these things, thinking about who they are, and they're just different than anybody you've met before. And I do think you get that in We Hunt the Flame. It's placed around a girl named Saphira, who is a hunter, but she is disguised. So everybody thinks that she is a man, so she's kind of hiding under that disguise, and also the Prince of Death. So the huntress is sent on this quest to retrieve a lost artifact to be able to bring magic back to her people that are suffering, and then the Prince of Death is tasked with the same thing of getting the artifact, but also to kill the hunter. This takes place in ancient Arabia. It's just a really cool, a really neat read, and again, I think you get those enchanted to meet you vibes, as in you're different than anybody else I've met before, and I'm just intrigued to try and start this. Alright, so those are all of the songs and the books that I have to recommend today. So I know that's definitely not every single Taylor Swift song, but I thought they were a bit more unique picks, and I was excited to share a couple of Midnight's album recommendations. So this has been a ton of fun. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you have the absolute best day of your life. Bye!